Hey, it's Jim with CGC Sports Illustrated. I've been wanting to do an updated magazine pressing video for a long time because it's been a while since I've done it, and I get a ton of questions about it, but I've struggled with exactly what to cover in this updated video because a lot of the questions I get are really kind of obscure one-offs that somebody would run into when trying to press a magazine, kind of a 1 in 100 or 1 in 1,000 sort of problem or technique that they might need to apply to fix a flaw. And I thought, well, that doesn't really probably help many people in a magazine pressing video. But the next biggest group of questions I get are always about the supplies that I use to press magazines. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. The specific supplies I use, a little bit about how I use them and when I use them. And then I will have all of these supplies listed in the notes for this video at the top. All the links will be there. Those aren't affiliate links. Go buy it if you want. Don't if you don't. But let's talk about some of the supplies that I use and think are really important when it comes to magazine pressing. I'm going to start off with this. I'm still shocked at how many people do not store their raw magazines in bags and boards. So if you're a Sports Illustrated collector, you keep this in mind. You know, most of the supplies and the grading and all that sort of stuff in our hobby is driven by comics, and that's great and wonderful, but there are certainly differences. And one of the big differences is the size of the bag and board that you want to get. So I've got the example here because I think it's really important. You want magazine-sized bags and boards. The most common kind of bag and board you're going to find out there are going to be for comic books, and those are going to be too small. So when you're buying bags and boards, magazine-sized bags and boards, this is what you want to look at, 8.5 by 11. That's the size you want to get. I love BCW stuff. I think they're super high quality, and let's go into a specific why. All the bags and boards, they're sealed on the side here. There's a seam there to where, you know, so you've got your bag here, but it's sealed right there. What I find in the cheaper bags is those seams split a lot. And once it splits, it opens, and you know, you've got to get a new bag and board and that sort of stuff. So that's why I like BCW, bags and boards. Another big question I get on bags and boards, there is a rough side and there is kind of a smooth or a shiny side. You want the shiny side touching your magazine. So when you put your bag and board together, you want to make sure your shiny side is there, and then you slide your magazine in there. Get that question a lot too. The second thing from BCW that I want to talk about that you need to be pressing magazines are life-size magazine boards. Again, another big difference from comics. Comic books use magazine-size boards because the comics are smaller. And what you need is a board that is going to be significantly oversized for your magazine so that you've got a little bit of extra room there to work with. Again, I love BCW stuff. I get my, almost all my supplies I get from BCW. So when it comes to pressing, you're going to need Life. Look at that big letter, Life magazine boards. That's the board you want to use when it comes to pressing. Now, let's go take a look at some other supplies. Next up, the backbone of any pressing operation is the actual magazine press itself. So these are, I own a number of these presses. These are essentially Tuesday knockoffs. You can get them on Amazon for anywhere between $200 and $300. I really like them. I think they work really well. You know, if you want to go out and buy a seal press, and spend upwards of $1,000 or a couple $1,000 on one of those, knock yourself out. I've found these Tuesday knockoffs, which you can get on Amazon, to be very effective. This is 15 by 15. They're essentially t-shirt presses that we use for magazine pressing. I posted something on social media about this. One thing you really want to be careful of is they're producing these t-shirt presses that don't go below 200 degrees. That's way too hot for magazine pressing, so be sure if you purchase one of these, whether it's on Amazon or somewhere else, you check out the specs. You want to make sure you get one that goes, all the way from 0. They'll go all the way up to 300 or 400 degrees. But some models do not go below 200 degrees, so be real careful about that. I like this one. Gives you some good stats. It's got a temperature and a timer on it. You can see that counter. I've used this press 282 different times. This is one of my newer presses. Some of the other presses I've got are counting upwards of 1,000. Really, really good press. I do like them a lot. Again, I'll post the link to where you can buy one of these or something similar to it in the comments and the notes on this video. Okay, the next thing that I like a lot and use a lot are these aluminum plates. when you're pressing, only this part of the magazine press is heated. The heating element is up here. There's no heating element down here. So you're only applying heat to one side at a time. What these aluminum press plates do is they absorb some of that heat when the press is warming up so that you can apply heat to both the top and the bottom at the exact same time. If not, you're going to need to flip your magazine and press it twice, once on the front and then once on the back, every single time. You'll still find, I still run magazines through the press multiple times just to get them right, but these aluminum plates help out an incredible amount. I buy them from Immaculate Comics and I get the elite level. They're not cheap, but I get the elite level, which is the thickest one they offer, and I highly recommend aluminum plates. Next up, let's talk about SRP paper, or silicone release paper. I've found some generic SRP paper on Amazon that I keep buying and that I think works really well. Some people use Teflon sheets, which are a lot more durable and reusable, but I've heard some reports of some problems with those. SRP paper, can be hit or miss. This one kind that I keep buying on Amazon, and again, I'll put the link to that one in the notes here. It's really effective and works really well. So this is my SRP paper that I use. All right, let's talk humidifiers. So I use two different systems of humidification. You're more than welcome to build a humidification box if you'd like to. Plenty of videos out there on YouTube about how to build a magazine or comic humidification box. I haven't found that to be necessary, but there are two different ones that I use. This white one is a cool mist instant humidifier. So you turn it on and it immediately starts putting out some humidification, but it's cold or room temperature. So kind of keep that in mind. I like to use this white humidifier for modern issues, and I'll tell you why. This is a closed steamer, this black one here, and that puts out steam. It's not instant. The water's got to come up to temperature and boil inside the unit, and then it comes out the spout as steam. I've found that this works much better. The black one works much better for vintage issues. Vintage issues can tolerate more humidification than modern issues can, and that's just because the modern issues just have that ultra high gloss paper and cover and just doesn't work as well. So I use a garment steamer for vintage issues, and I used a Cool Mist instant humidifier for modern issues. So modern issues is the white one, vintage issues, I use this black one. Okay, the next part of this video, we're going to talk about cleaning, because that's the other part of your magazine pressing that takes place. When I press magazines for other collectors, they get a basic dry cleaning and then a pressing. I do recommend cleaning your magazines before pressing. So let's take a look at this one here. This is Roger Staubach's first cover from December 2nd, 1963. Love, love, love this issue. But you can see right there, that's supposed to be white. I got a ton of dirt there. I got a ton of dirt there, all down along the spine area. All that needs to be cleaned. So let's talk about some specific tools to clean these. This is item number one. This is what's called a soot sponge. Comes in a really large, big chunk. I like to cut them into smaller pieces like this. You want to be careful whenever you're doing cleaning. These will work on both white and colored sections of covers. Again, start with really, really light pressure and be careful. But these are really, really good at cleaning colored portions of magazine covers. There are other tools that are a little bit more aggressive where you can afford to be aggressive on the white sections, and we'll talk about those in a minute. But this is something that's a must-have. It's called a soot sponge. And again, I've done a video about magazine cleaning before. You scroll back 2 years on my YouTube videos, and there's a video there on magazine cleaning that'll talk in more detail about how to apply these tools. But for right now, we're just talking about the different items I use. Next up, cotton swabs. So these are essentially like makeup removers. So this is something your wife or your daughters might use to remove makeup and stuff like that. They usually come in a big tube like this. You can get them at Walgreens or CVS. huge, I mean, invaluable. I use these things on every single issue that I press. They get a simple wipe down of the entire magazine. Does help with some fingerprints, helps with some light dirt, just general smudges and that sort of thing. These cotton rounds are a huge part of the cleaning process, and I use them on every single issue. Next up are erasers. So what you're looking for are these white type erasers. Now you can find these, sometimes they're sold in a block. I don't care for those as much because they tend to be a little bit too big and not as accurate. I really like these retractable ones here that are a little bit more precise, but these are used for cleaning the white sections of the magazine. And then I like this one too. This is kind of it looks like a pencil, but instead of pencil lead, that's more white eraser there. This I use for really fine point cleaning of really skinny sections of white on my magazine. So again, I'll list both of those in the, and where you can buy them in the notes here on this video. So there's a rundown of the supplies that I use when it comes to magazine pressing. Like I said, check the notes in this video. I'll do links for all the supplies right there. Drop pressing questions. If you got pressing questions, drop them here on YouTube or shoot me a comment or a DM on social media. I'm happy to answer any questions you have when it comes to magazine pressing. Hope this video was helpful and appreciate it. Thanks for watching.